I believe in karma. This business, I'm telling you, there's so much karma. If you always operate above the table, you do the right thing, good things are coming. You can never get too emotional about a deal. If it's not meant to be, you don't chase it. If you lose it, I promise you there's 2 or 3 more that are going to come your way in the next day or two that are going to be a better investment for you, better deployment of your capital and time. So never get too caught up on the emotions of a deal. Always serve the people to the highest level based on their utility and needs, and good things are coming your way, I promise you.
What is going on, you guys? Jesse Burrell here, CEO of BatchService. I am the host today, and I actually got to bring on a good friend of mine. His name is Zachary Kepes, and he's an absolute beast. I've known him in the real estate world for quite a while now. So really what this is about today, just to let you guys know, he has over 300 rental properties, and he's going to show you how he did it all by himself. Not an acquisition team, not a bunch of people on his team. He just figured out a way to get a bunch of deals, and I'm excited for him to talk to you guys about it. Zach, what's up? There we go.
Good to be here. Honored to be here.
So I was impressed from the first moment that we met, and I think I heard of you through a friend of a friend and had a wholesale deal, called you. You didn't buy it because you're cheap.
Because I'm cheap or the deal was shitty?
Maybe a little bit of both.
Okay.
But no, and then you're like, I have all these properties, and I assumed you had this big team. And then, I think I really got to know you at Carlos Reyes' wedding. We were sat together. Right. We were the white table.
That's right. That's so funny. Right.
But I guess when did you get started? How did you get into this? How did you? I always say you're the guy that's like slow and steady wins the race, because I was like, they're like, Zach's this incredible dude. It's so cool. And I'm like, dude, he's just been really consistent for a really long time.
Yeah.
You're obviously brilliant too, but let's get into it. Tell people what you're about.
Sure. So originally from Detroit, Michigan, where the hustle began, the muscle behind the hustle. Came out here in 2002, didn't know pretty much anybody, and slow and steady wins the race, right? It's all about being the marathon visionary and player, and it's not a sprint, it's a long-term race. I've just been consistent, with my head down and rolling up my sleeves and putting on my pants every morning in the shoes, hitting the streets. Long before Batch came along, I wish there was Batch when I got started, which is an interesting conversation. It was about, direct relationships, showing up, belly-to-belly relationships is how I pretty much built my company, one home, one relationship at a time. So 2002 came out, didn't even have a real estate background, got my license in 9 days. And then it was all about networking, hitting the streets, calling the agents, the face-to-face interactions, building the construction teams, and buying, again, one house at a time to build the portfolio. And I can delve into, how it transpired and everything else. But I've been doing the same thing for 22 years. So it's crazy. You talk about monotony and staying focused on one thing. So many people look at a million different things at once, but I think you want to be an expert at one and stay hyper-focused and not worry about, other cars passing you in different lanes and types of vehicles and enamored by the material shining object syndrome, and just reinvest in yourself, in the business, and that multiplies and has that domino effect of success.
Did you get started doing any listings or anything like that, or was it always really focused on starting to build a portfolio for cash flow?
Yeah, so I was blessed that I had, I started with OPM, other people's money. My cousins in the Midwest had a real estate firm, and they were the capital behind the company. And so they had the money, we were the human capital, and it was all with investment. So went out and started, not representing anybody, but just vertically integrated. They had the money, we had the human capital, one home at a time. And then we started advertising back in the day in 2002, 2003 on TV, on billboards. We had a company, 1-800-NO-AGENT, and went out and bought houses direct and was solely flipping early on. So we buy the house, stabilize them, and flip them until, on my prorated share of that joint venture, I could utilize that capital then to buy my own houses.
Okay, and then when did you buy your first rental property because
Great point.
Real quick question. All your rental properties are owned today only by you, correct? You don't have partners on anything.
I have my own rental portfolio, and I have one of the OPM original investors in my company from 2010 that we have a portfolio that we own 50-50 as well outside of Zach Ventures.
Gotcha.
So I realized, hindsight's 20/20 and learning, of course, you need capital to buy these deals. And when the market imploded in 2007, 8, 9.
Yeah. So what did that do to you during that time?
Well, I wasn't I didn't have any leverage. So that was the key. So we were flipping everything, so I didn't get caught with my pants down, which is really important. I didn't have to do short sales. I didn't go through bankruptcies or anything else. So I was always bankable the whole time. It was important that we had OPM, we had stability, and because we were flipping, we weren't holding a lot of inventory, which is great. So it's weird when you look back and say, okay, I bought these houses, for example, in Maryville for $150 and we sold it at $200, or paid $200 and sold it at $275. And all of a sudden, those same assets were trading at $30,000 a year later. So when you look at it, when Warren Buffett says, when people are fearful, be greedy. When people are greedy, be fearful. Well, there was so much greed that, these hair salon stylists owned 20 homes on the block, and that, anyone was getting qualified. If you had a heartbeat, you could buy homes.
Loans, baby.
Right. So it's crazy. So what I did was, when we sold off stuff, I was always had contingency money. I think it's very important when you're playing the long game to always have liquidity and cash and capital on the sidelines for an opportunity that we saw, which was rare in 2009, where you could buy homes at a major discount and the rents weren't, horrible. So you're getting crazy. I was getting 20 cap rates back in the day. Of course, that's impossible to get today. But back then, you're like, this doesn't make sense. Like, you're buying these houses for, literally, my cheapest home I ever bought was $25,000 on Mitchell and 47th Avenue.
So I bought a house wholesale. I flipped it like 6 years ago. It was in 17th Ave and Camelback or something over there.
Yeah.
Dude paid 10 grand for it in 09.
You paid 10 grand.
No, he did.
Oh, wow.
And then he sold it to me for 120 grand.
It was probably a condo.
No, it was
a house.
It was a 3-2 or 2.
That's insane.
It was a 3-1. It was a 3-1.
Who cares? That's crazy.
But that's the point is, I was looking up data in 9, 10, and these houses went from, then they're 140, 150. They're selling for 20, 30, 40,000.
Right.
So you're getting 70% off, but rental rates only went down 2-3% during that time.
Correct. That was what's crazy. So the same time we were buying these homes, you're exactly right, 200, 250,000, we were getting $900, $1,000, $1,200 for rent. Well, when they went all the way down to 25,000, I was still getting $900, $950 for rent. Do the math. Let's go back then. We'll, add to that portfolio, because I still own a lot of those deals. People say, oh, you got rich overnight or something. No, this is 22 years of the grind, stabilizing, maintaining these relationships. So it's interesting. Again, hindsight's 20/20. But what I recognized going back to the beginning on flipping these houses was there was always this appreciation. But I think, it's also important to recognize you got luck. Luck is a huge factor in anything, but you got to create the luck, right? Appreciation, you get a little lucky, it's better than being smart.
Yeah, I mean, when we started, Batch with just our first product, Batch Skip Chasing, it's the same thing. We're at the right place at the right time. You were at the right place at the right time, and you took advantage of your opportunity. And we were able to do that as well. So was 9, 10 when you really started building the rental portfolio and got away from flipping? Because I know you still flip a little bit.
I still flip, absolutely.
But you normally remodel a house and then hold it now, typically.
I typically it depends on the asset class. When I say asset class, pricing specifically. If it's under $450,000, I try and retain it because I want a long-term capital gain. And, I could talk about my criteria for buying. And, I want the depreciation on the asset. I want the long-term capital gain for multiple reasons. And I also want the appreciation.
Right.
But if it's over $450 or $500, typically it's not going to cash flow in this market for the level that I want. Unless, of course, the anomaly is if you have so much equity in there. If you've got an amazing deal, you've created so much equity, it behooves you to stabilize that asset for a year to get a long-term capital gain than just selling it. So you're not going to get the cash-on-cash return in terms of rental, but you're going to get the long-term yield by stabilizing it for the year plus hold. And so something to look at.
And having a good asset that's just going to continue to appreciate.
100%. Specific areas and Paradise Valley malls, certain things like that really come into play in the determining factor of, am I going to exit right away and flip it, or am I going to hold it? But ideally, it's great to have a dual exit on anything to know that you could either A, pivot and just rent it, or B, sell it. And I always like to actually put them both up for sale or for rent, and it just shows you have more leverage against either opportunity.
Just on the personal side, every friend that comes into town that wants a short-term rental, you are the first person that I call.
I appreciate it. This is so cool, right? I remember your guy rented for me in Ahwatukee. He called me right away. He's like, hey, I need 6 months. I think we gave him a year, whatever it was.
Yeah, I think he said
and that's great to have it, but it's all about these relationships, right? It's so important to be consultative with everybody, take care of them. And again, I could talk about a specific deal right now. I just bought on Cochise and got a good deal on it. paid $292.5 for it. It's probably worth retail $450, $500. I'll probably put 80 to 100 into it. But I got a call from another renter of mine. I got somebody moving in from out of state. They want a pool ready in September. I said, I have the perfect house. I just bought it. So instead of just thinking about flipping that, the power of these relationships, 90% of my homes get rented from a referral of a friend, a colleague, or one of my other tenants. So that's why it's so important, in my opinion, to be vertically integrated in managing these relationships. Like you cross-collateralize deals to banks, you cross-collateralize these relationships, and boom, that's where the power really transpires.
Yeah, so let's talk about how you acquire deals, because the thumbnail of this clip is going to be how you spend no money on marketing and you have 300 rental properties.
Just under, for the record, but yeah.
297.
Whatever. Yeah. That's a good point. I spend $0 on marketing right now, but let's not forget, what I built the foundation,
Right.
which is my reputation from 2002. So I've been in specific single family real estate, specifically Arizona, building these relationships
Right.
to become top of mind. And how do you do that? Number one, be friends with guys like you and everyone at the top of the game, showing up to networking events, doing podcasts, utilizing social media, but really showing up and engaging people and consistently executing and surpassing expectations. I want to be known as the guy that, if we're going to do a deal, you don't have to babysit me. When I sign a contract or I give you my word, 100%. I've never not closed on a deal. You could call anyone in the entire world. I've never backed out of a property. I've never closed a minute late on a property. So when you do deals with someone and you're getting into this business, it's super important to always execute, always over communicate, be a bull in whatever you're doing and just crush it, just surpass everybody's expectations. So they don't say, hey, where's their earnest money? Be like, it's already at title. Hey, when are you closing? Money's already sent, docs are already signed. Be ahead of the curve, streamline things and just exceed expectations, always execute, over communicate, and get it done. Don't play games.
Today, you primarily being that buyer, so you work with wholesalers a ton. That's how you get the majority of your wholesalers and realtors, I'm assuming.
Yep, realtors, wholesalers. I get a lot of referrals from title companies on fallouts. The people sign it up or they're middlemen in deals and the deal falls apart. They don't come up with the money. When people need something closed in a day and they can't get hard money quick enough. I mean, there's a million different ways. But yes, the large majority of my deals come from referrals of wholesalers and agents. Well, let's talk about batch leads. So so how am I finding these deals? It's all from, again, word of mouth, top of mind. People use Investor Lift or all these different batch leads and see who's bought in certain areas. Don't you guys have something on batch leads that shows who bought in that area and they can target me as well? Or
Yeah,
no?
yeah,
There you
no.
go.
I mean, we have cash buyers and we have a lot of great different ways to. We have a whole agent outreach section to where you could look up agents in specific areas that you want to
love
target to either sell a deal to or see if they have any clients that are looking for something, or just start building those relationships with agents too, kind of like with what you do, and say, hey, if you have an off-market property, I want to be your buyer. Or if you have
Absolutely.
a property that needs a bunch of fixing up and the seller wants to sell fast, I could pay you out personally, or so on.
I
All
love
the different levers you could pull to
Absolutely.
to be
So that's
successful.
huge. So where were you guys in 2002? I've needed you for a long time, right? A little late to the game, but you're here now and you guys have a significant presence, which is great. So if I'm a young wholesaler, people always ask me, okay, Zach, if I'm a wholesaler, I don't have any money, what do you do? You engage, you leverage this technology, you invest in yourself, you start reaching out, you become a middleman. You're human capital. You're taking action, you bet on yourself as the horse and make the connection between an end buyer right now, somebody who has the capital, and a distress asset or somebody who's representing that distress asset. Make the connection and get paid for being that matchmaker until you do enough of those deals to acquire your own properties. I'm a huge advocate. When people call me, one of the first things I say is, how come you're not buying that asset yourself?
Right.
What's hindering your ability to do that? So you need to ask yourself what's missing. And if your hindrance is capital, start raising capital. If your hindrance is the relationships, build the relationships. It's very transparent in terms of what's missing, what's your bottleneck in your business, and focus on that missing link.
And then also learn what you're good at and what you're not good at.
Totally.
Your superpower has always truly been relationships, and you're always highly engaged. Every time I see you with anyone, you're highly engaged. You care about their success or what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you've just always been a people person and a giver. And I think that's just who you are. and you've leaned into that, and it's made you very successful in business.
Yep. I think it's important to always truly get to know people. Like I know you personally. Congrats, by the way, on a new baby coming on.
Thank you.
I love your wife. I've been to your house playing pickleball. Like the people you do business with, get to know them. Business is business, that comes and goes, but build those solid relationships where you get to know people intimately and, break bread with them, play pickleball, do whatever, you guys desire, where you guys connect. That will enhance the relationships and the referrals and being top of mind, but ultimately just become friends with people. It's a very simple process.
I mean, I really think what changed our relationship was you just donating so much money to me at our poker game. I really appreciate
My
that.
pleasure. You are a better poker player than me for sure. Listen, when you suck at something, you own it, right? But Jesse's actually a great poker player. So if you guys become friends with him, and I encourage you to do that, maybe make sure there's a max buy-in of $100 instead of a couple thousand on the game.
I guess I know you're not the person that likes to boast and brag, but I know you do care about people, and I know you do have some type of coaching. Can we touch on that a little bit?
Sure. I did dabble in coaching a couple years ago. We built a very robust, comprehensive course with my buddy Luigi, great filmmaker, works for Investor Lift, and we are rekindling that. So we have all this comprehensive videos. It's all online. We're building a little community on there through school. So it's under Flip Lift. And it's got all access to how do I raise money. It's got real transparent videos of how I'm buying deals, in consultatively raising money with investors, you name it, how I'm scaling, my banking relationships, dealing with appraisers. Anything you want to know on fix and flip and buy and hold is in that course. I'm not one for all this self-promotion, whatever, you brought it up, but it is a very good course. It gives you the full roadmap of what to do from somebody who's day in and day out doing it, not some self-proclaimed guru, which I can't stand that word. But again, if you're going to learn from someone, make sure you connect with them. Check it out. It's like $98 a month. We want to make it super affordable for people so they can take massive action and really build their net worth and change their legacy for their family and their future families.
$98.
$98. Want to keep it affordable.
Wow. And you guys, Zach is the person where he does like to give back, but a lot of these coaches and gurus, they made their fortune selling courses,
right,
not buying and selling houses.
I've made, for the record, $0 to date on any coaching, literally. I mean, it is what it is. I make my money on real estate. This is something I like to engage the community, have some fun. It's not about, making millions of dollars on coaching.
If I could put my name behind anybody, you would be one of them, because I see the deals you do. As I said, we have done a lot of stuff, outside of work, spending time with each other, and you are always on the phone. You're in between pickleball games, you are talking to someone that's trying to sell you a deal, and you're trying to understand, is this a good deal or is this not? And if it's not a good deal, I feel like you teach them on why it's not a good deal and how they contracted this property, wrong. And you're just,
sure.
I mean, you're a little more crass. You're like, you're an idiot. Why'd you
No, I don't
that?
say. I say that maybe after that. But it is important. It's a good learning lesson. I think that every incoming call or outgoing is an opportunity to not just give a quick yes or no. It's not like red light, green light, yes, no, go, stop. It's really important to slow it down, get on that yield, and understand, okay, where are you coming from? How can we make this work versus, no, it's not going to work, you're an idiot. Hey, thank you for bringing me this opportunity. This doesn't work. Let's refine what you're bringing me for my buy box. Hey, this was disseminated on a big list. I don't buy stuff that's out on the open market or it's been disseminated to 25 different people, and this is how I work. So let's take an opportunity to refine that relationship, understand each other's needs, and then the next phone call is going to be much more productive. So I think so many people have this mentality of, oh, red light, green light. Let's just either stop or go, and that's it. Me, I'm like, hey, let's slow it down. Let's have a conversation. Let's connect for a little bit and then figure out how we can do some business. So every opportunity. The other thing too is if you're getting started in this business, I'm a huge advocate, by the way, number one thing, get your license. Okay, I think there's a lot of regulations changing. I think you can leverage that in so many different capacities. It's important to wear a belt with multiple notches, not just be a one-trick pony on one thing. Don't just wholesale. You can be a wholesaler, you could be an agent, you could be a fix and flipper, all within that domain. And by doing, agent outreach, or by marketing other people's homes, or it's not the right fit for you to buy it, but you could represent that person and still get a 3% or whatever commission, you're getting your name and branding out there, which is super important. Getting your signs, getting those incoming calls now where someone sees you and they say, hey, Jesse, I see your sign over here. What's the story on this house? And then Jesse says, hey, thanks so much for calling. By the way, do you have any other distressed assets? It's such a warm opportunity. Instead of just calling someone cold through Batch Services, now you've got proper real estate. You've got branding. and someone knows you're an action taker, and that's a domino effect of getting a lot more opportunities. So a little word to the wise out there. I'm a huge advocate for getting the license, getting your name in front of real estate to have really good conversations about what's going on in the market.
Yeah, I couldn't second that more. When I got into real estate, I got my license first, but I got my license in 13. And what I was doing at that time, that's when you could find a lot of short sales, a lot of pre-foreclosures, a lot of distressed assets on the MLS. So like I wasn't a typical agent. I had a group of investors or different investors that I was going and finding houses for and then being their buyer's agent, and then I negotiate something on the back end to be their listing agent.
Love that.
And when that started changing and it started to get harder and harder with more and more people getting into fixing and flipping with all the TV shows that were going on at the time and that just got started up about 10 years ago, I learned about, going direct to seller and finding deals off market. So then I added that into my tool belt. Once I started making money there, I started using that money to do fix and flips. And once I started making money doing all three of those strategies, I started building my rental portfolio. So I think that the more ways you have to be able to help a homeowner is just better for the homeowner. So you don't go in with a certain strategy or saying, this is how I'm going to buy this house.
100%.
You need to go into that homeowner, that belly to belly meeting and say, what is, in your mind, what is the best way to help this person? And I'm going to do that. You should not be dictating that relationship with money. It's like, how can I service this person in the best way? And however I get compensated, if this way I may make a little less, but it's better for that person. You have to go into it wholeheartedly just trying to help someone and solve their problem.
I couldn't say it any better. I agree 100% verbatim, except for one thing. I would say not even about the money. Even if you don't make any money on that and you just service them, I believe in karma. This business, I'm telling you, there's so much karma. If you always operate above the table, you do the right thing, good things are coming. You can never get too emotional about a deal. If it's not meant to be, you don't chase it. If you lose it, I promise you there's 2 or 3 more that are going to come your way in the next day or two that are going to be a better investment for you, better deployment of your capital and time. So never get too caught up on the emotions of a deal. Always serve the people to the highest level based on their utility and needs, and good things are coming your way, I promise you.
Yeah, I love it because I love going in and I'd see someone that wants a cash offer and their house would be in pretty good shape. And I'm like, why aren't we putting this on the market and getting everybody's eyes on it? And then there's always a situation, but a lot of the time it's, you have to educate them. Do you want convenience? Do you want the most money?
Absolutely.
Like what are you really looking for? And it just really depends on the situation. We have a lot in common on how we operated on the real estate side.
I respect that 100%. Good for you, because that's a rare breed. Most people come in, again, one trick pony. I'm only coming with cash. I'm only going to offer creative. Versus I'm coming in to serve you. What's important to you? What's your time frame? You're not in foreclosure. You're current on your mortgage. I'm not the right fit for you in terms of buying for cash. Why would you leave this much money on the table? Potentially. There's no guarantee, right? We retail it and we sell it. There's no guarantee in anything in life. I hate the word guarantee. You tell people that. But you say, hey, let's put this on the market. Let's get you the most money. Unless for whatever the reason you need the money tomorrow, that's a different story.
Right.
This is what I can offer cash. This is what I think the retail value is if we listed it. And then I go further and show them, here's all the highest numbers that sold. Let's initial this. So I'm showing you these numbers and you're signing off on this to mitigate risk or liability. It's always important just to give full disclosure, right? Statute of frauds, get everything in writing, get signatures, over disclose, never under disclose. When in doubt, disclose in real estate. You'll keep yourself out of court.
So I know you're buying and selling and renting and doing just a lot of stuff every day, to be honest with you. Networking, all of it. What does a typical day look like in the life of Zach Kepes, the investor?
Great question. Your lifeblood is on acquisition. The business is made on buying. It's also made on, keeping tenants and everybody happy. You gotta, you're managing so many different things at once. My daily life is health is number one, right? I just got over, and I'm in the middle of it a little bit. I got the shingles, right? I think I do too. I own it, right? I'm going, put the pedal to the metal. It's green. I'm going so hard, lack of sleep, whatever. So you got to own that and take good care of yourself. And maybe I burned it out a little too much, but I own that. So in the morning, walk the dogs, go to the gym, get that good energy. I'm big on energy and connection. If I'm in a bad mood and I'm managing the crews and I'm managing designers, I'm managing, acquisitions and engaging with people, it's always important to bring your highest and best self with good energy. I'm a huge advocate. I don't believe in fake energy or anything else. And if there's an issue, you're feeling bad, you just own it. Hey, I'm having a bad day. How are you doing? Sorry, my energy is a little low. Just let people know what's going on. But the number one thing in the day is buying deals. So someone's calling me, top wholesalers or other agents, answer your dang phone. I'm always, unless I'm in a podcast or shooting film or whatever,
right,
I'm the first guy picking up the film, connecting, FaceTiming, building these relationships, engaging with my management team for rentals. Go ahead.
Let's stop there. I hate to interrupt you, but this dude is so obsessed with personal connections. He FaceTimes you for everything. If I call him, he will literally click the FaceTime button.
Yeah.
He is like that with everyone. He wants, when he's talking to you, to know, I'm here, I'm present with you, I'm talking to you. You are the only person I've ever seen that all you do is FaceTime people, and I'll be in my house and I'll just answer with my shirt off. Like, I don't care.
You've answered in the shower a couple times, which I appreciate too. Jesse likes to flex, which is he's looking good on his machines and getting ripped. But no, I mean, I think, again, going back to that top of mind mentality, how do people remember when to call Jesse, when to call Zach? What's your specialty? Well, if you're connecting them to the highest level and also letting them know that you're 100% present with them, that helps that top of mind mentality. So when I'm looking you in the eye and we're connecting, there's something just fun about the FaceTime, right? It's just much more engaging and much more personal and intimate to connect on that level. It's not like, oh, I can't hear you on the phone. I want to see you.
But
I prefer to even be in person.
They're engaged too if you're FaceTiming with them as well.
For sure, they're paying attention.
Right.
Even when I'm negotiating deals, it's funny when wholesalers call me, I get a text. Zach, I got Garfield, 3219 Garfield at this price. I don't even know who this is. FaceTime. I want to know who's sending me this deal. Who are you behind this deal, right? Let's connect. Right. Now we're building a relationship. Oh, that's you. Okay, you're really calling. It's really me. It's not some acquisitions guy from my team. It's not some fake offer. Tell me about this deal. Are you direct to seller? What's your story? How'd you acquire this? How can we do business?
Right.
So it's funny.
You don't have it. It is you. You are all of it. You are the property manager. You are the acquisition. You are the disposition. Don't you have like a property manager assistant or people that help a little bit?
Vicky is my assistant. She does all the back end stuff like the utilities, the registration of rentals, all the HUDs, all the back end paperwork stuff she handles. She engages with tenants. I do have a full-time maintenance guy, Daniel. He's amazing. And then when he gets overwhelmed, he's got other people to send out. But I mean, we run so lean, so efficient. I mean, with just under 300 homes, one full-time maintenance guy. But I think that's a tribute to the contractors that I work with, the solid work that we do. I think it's really important when you're putting out a product out there that you don't do just Band-Aids, right? And you're constantly replacing Band-Aids. I believe in full surgery. I believe in spending the money to make the money. I say it time and time again, so that we really stabilize these properties for long-term holds to mitigate, issues happening. I think it's important when you're digesting these homes to do the full surgery. Look at everything. If the compressor is bad and the AC is 9 or 10 years old, I'm not replacing the compressor. I'm putting on a new unit. If my crew's already there, I want good economies of scale, do the whole thing great once. Put in the full tile, the new kitchens, the appliances. Don't just get some used junk and hope for the best and be some slumlord. Have a really good product, have really good relationships with the tenants, and then you're mitigating risk and you can grow and scale faster by not circling back and wasting time and wasting energy going to keep putting Band-Aids on things. Spend the money, stabilize, make a beautiful product, and move forward.
And then you're typically pretty aggressive on kind of the lower side, not lower, but like the more conservative side on the rentals, and you go for like 2-year leases a lot and stuff like that, right?
It's not that I go for 2 years. I mean, I do. There's no point really to do a 2-year lease because they could break them in Arizona. But my retention is really high, so I end up, somebody moves in a house. Again, I use the Yelp analogy. When you come into the restaurant at the Zach Ventures and you want to eat here, I want to give you a 5-star, service. I want to give a 5-star quality. I want communication, relationship, all of the above. So I think about that. It's not just the product. How am I making you feel? I invite you into the family. When a tenant rents from me and I look you in the eye, I say, hey, welcome to the Zach Ventures family. I want to make sure that your family's fully taken care of in the home. By the way, I have really good friends and a good network of people out here. If there's anything you guys need, doctors, attorneys, whatever it is, you're part of the family. Let me serve you. That goes a long way. It's not just, hey, you're an annuity of income to me like I'm a hedge fund and I'm just managing these properties. That goes a long way to people, letting them know. I hug people when they move in. I want to get to know them. What are your kids' names? What's your dog's name? And then here's my direct number, right? They all know they can call me if there's an emergency. If you need whatever it is, Zach, I'm going to be a week late in rent, whatever. let me know what's going on. I'm going to take care of you versus, oh, it's X amount of dollars per day, whatever. I'll show leniency when you communicate with me and we have that mutual respect.
So let's talk about, it's definitely been, I guess, a crazy 4 years of how the market's changed like drastically multiple times in multiple ways. Like, how do you look and how do you pivot and change your buy box, so quickly? Because it's like COVID started, no one was buying, you couldn't do anything, everyone's scared, then prices go ballistic, and then interest rates go crazy, and prices, like, it's been a wild journey these last 4 years for people inside real estate. That's agents, investors, homeowners, people trying to buy homes, renters, all of it. It's been absolutely wild. So, like, give me your thought on that.
That's a great point. There's a lot of volatility, always different things that we don't have control. So the only I can control what I can control, and I can't worry about the things I can. But it's always important to pivot and adapt. For me, I'm always buying. If you look at, and you guys have the data, everyone has the data. When people weren't buying during COVID, I was buying. People were walking away from earnest money. They'd call me, Zach, will you pick this up? You always want to buy at a discount. It's super important to buy with equity so you have the ability to pivot and adapt. I always like to say dollar cost average into the market. I bought some stuff at the top after the COVID run, and now it's done. Let's call it 10%. But I'm not worried about it. I'm playing the long game. I have enough stuff that I'm buying below market, or I have enough equity in it that if I had to fire sell something, which I don't because I'm very under-levered, and conservative, I'm good. So I think it's just, I consistently buy regardless of the market because I'm dollar cost averaging to get a really good basis. It keeps the crews busy, keeps everybody engaged, the designers, the contractors, the maintenance, the assistants, everybody, and just keep, moving forward. But you want to be conservative. You don't just buy to buy. You fine tune your buy box, right? So before, let's say maybe in an amazing market, if you're just flipping, you're going to be a little bit more lenient, right? You see the rates drop, inventory levels are dropping, you could be a little more aggressive.
Right.
But when, or more lenient and aggressive, if you will. But when things are tighter, you figure, okay, I'm just going to end up owning this. You think about, okay, how does this perform as a rental? If there's a lot of fear in the market and the retail sides, right now, for example, with the whole commission things changing, people are just so many unknowns. It's kind of stagnant. People don't, know what's going on. I just factor, I'm going to buy this asset. I'm going to retain it in my rental portfolio, and that's predictable for me because I know how much I can rent it. If I sell it, great, that's the icing on the cake. If I sell it, great, you make some money. But at the end of the day, am I going to buy this asset? Do I love the price today? What will it yield me from a rental return? And will this be a legacy property? Am I happy to own this for 10 or 20 years? And is this the best and highest use of my capital today? And if not, what is a better asset class or a better project to be in? Those are the questions you need to ask yourself on a day-to-day or month-to-month basis.
So yeah, let's talk about, the perception of a landlord, because you have, quite a few properties, about 300 of them. And, do people look at you like they look at, the hedge funds and just look at you as this awful person that's taking advantage of renters?
There's a negative stigma with some people out there that say, hey, what the heck, you're affecting the market. I'm nothing on the overall scheme of things. You got hedge funds that own, tens of thousands of homes. I'm nothing compared to those big guys, so I'm not making a big dent on the market. But people that say that, I want to be clear that actually I give my tenants the opportunity to buy the home. So if you're in a home, any of my homes, I tell them after a year, because I want a long-term capital gain, and rates come down, you're welcome to purchase the home. So I'm the first guy to sell to first-time home buyers. It's not like, look, we always have a choice of who we sell to and how we do business. I love VA people, the people who've served in the military. I've given discounts and stuff. So I'm all an advocate for first-time home buyers. I'm happy to sell my inventory to these buyers and assist them in making that dream a reality. So I think it's important to give them an equitable interest. If it's a home that they love and they can afford and they can qualify at any time, you can buy that home. It's not like I'm taking these off the market. I'm never going to sell them. I'll sell any home at any time at the right price, or if it's a good mutual deal for somebody, I'm a seller as well because I can redeploy that money. Again, we talk about dollar cost averaging. There's always an abundance of homes to buy. I'm just one buyer.
And whenever I'm with you, it's just you're buying some stuff, you're selling some stuff, you're flipping some stuff. And so like what he's saying is what he does. He's always just kind of moving and shaking and just kind of doing whatever it takes.
Like, I love the deals. Like if you don't love the art of the deals or engaging with people, one thing I don't do business with assholes. Like people call me on a deal and they get aggressive. I'm like, I don't need to buy this deal. It's a good position to be in where you're like, go sell your deal to somebody else. In fact, don't ever call me again. There's no reason to be aggressive or abrasive or whatever. No reason for that. So I choose to be around good, like-minded people with good energy, good karma. And I love, people say, when are you going to be done? I'll be done when I'm bored or I don't, enjoy the business. It's a great business. It's the best business in the world. The data is super important. The relationships are everything. But you got to have fun with it. People take this stuff too seriously sometimes. You got to relax. Remember, playing the long game, there's going to be ups and downs, but keep a level head. Have fun with it. Really be around people that you enjoy being around.
No, because you love it. Like Zach Kepes is real estate. Like that's just all you know and what you do.
People forget. They're like, oh, I'm going to have a portfolio in 6 months or a year just like them. Like, okay, I wish abundance for everybody, but they got to understand this is like, I've worked literally 7 days a week for the last 22 years. Even when I'm on vacation, people know I'm on my phone. I'm doing deals. In fact, I bought a lot of deals when I'm traveling. I'm in Michigan or I'm out of the country or whatever it is. I'm constantly engaged. I don't just take my foot off the pedal. Now I have a question for you, my man. So you guys have all the data, you have all the information at your fingertips. How are you leveraging the data that you guys have from Batch to make good financial decisions for yourself? Where are you deploying? You guys are a cash cow, a very successful company. What do you do independently to deploy your capital? What type of asset class are you in? And how are you leveraging the data in your real estate portfolio?
In 2021 and 22, and this goes back to, I guess, how you think, and I've learned a lot from you and just a lot of people that have been majorly successful is like really drill into one thing. So besides a couple houses, I sold all my real estate. And I focused to make sure we could be singularly focused on how do we serve and help the real estate community with our products and our technologies. Because if you diversify and you're trying to be great at a whole bunch of different things, it's really hard to grow one big thing.
Yep.
And that was a tough thing for me to do because real estate's how I became a millionaire. It's how I made my first $1 million in a year. And I really identified as a real estate person. And I kind of had to be like, well, I'm still in real estate to some degree, but I'm not someone that's buying and selling and flipping and owning rentals. And because even owning, 20, 30 doors as I did at that time, there's no such thing as passive income. Even if you have a property manager, you have them calling you and another repair to be done, or someone moved out, or there's this problem.
Semi-passive income.
Semi-passive income.
Right.
I mean, it's a great way to create wealth, but we really wanted to focus, creating my wealth through building a really cool software company, and that's where like we've really, and I personally stayed focused. So a lot of that money that I made from all the real estate I sold, I either put it into hard money, which is pretty passive, and then also deployed more of it into Batch to keep growing the company.
I love that. So you're betting on yourself just like I do. It's that game of compounding. Action. Same thing. If I sell a house, it's not like I'm out of the market. I'm just going to go redeploy that money immediately back into my company, into new asset classes as quickly as possible, just like you exited real estate, hard assets, but you put it into the technology company to serve the masses and the community and your core competency, technology.
Yeah, and it was just really hard trying to grow a real estate software business and then do a bunch of wholesaling and flipping. I feel like we were letting people down and we were getting spread too thin. And I feel like going back to people with shiny object syndrome, and as you said, you stayed focused on real estate single family. Mm-hmm. And that's where you have all these people buying all these apartments or doing all these things in different markets. And you're just kind of like, cool, I'm going to do my thing. And I kind of got there too because I see all my friends making all this money, all these different ways, selling courses and doing things. And I was like, I've done like 500 deals. Like I could be a real estate coach. And I just had to sit back, and all I asked myself is, what would Zach Kepes do? And stay focused.
Stay focused, right? Just become an expert, become a dominant force on one subject matter, be that expert, and be that go-to person. And so when people think about data, they think about Batch. They think about Jesse.
I sure hope so.
When people think about poker, they think about, don't invite Jesse.
So before we go, one last thing. Someone that wants to start building a portfolio, what are the 1, 2, 3 most important things to really get started?
Great question. To build a portfolio, first it starts with one home at a time, right? To have a portfolio, you need one. So don't get ahead of yourself. Just start buying good deals, good first deal with equity, that cash flows that you could effectively burr out, right? So what do I mean by that? A deal that you can stabilize if you're going to create value through remodel, or it already has tremendous equity. You put a tenant in there, you could take it to the bank and say, hey, how much will you lend against this asset? Can you get a DSCR loan? Can you refi it? If you could do that a couple times, then you can aggregate those homes and cross-collateralize multiple homes to then utilize that equity to continue to grow and scale. This is an infinite game. People make it so complex, but really hyper-focus on getting good equity and stabilize that first deal, get it rented and cash flowing, build banking relationships. So many people fail on the fact that they think that there's unlimited capital out there. There's not unlimited capital, but you can constantly be raising money for OPM to create good joint venture partnerships. That's how I started, but also becoming bankable. And it's really important to make sure your credit's in line, make sure you're paying taxes to show that, these bankers that you are legit,
making money.
show that you're making money, that I don't care if you have a million deals, free and clear and you show no income, there's no way a bank's going to lend you money because you show no income. So
right.
It's important to be bankable, build everything from the ground floor, right? Homes aren't built and for the roof up, they're built from the foundation up. So have that good foundation, start with one, perfect the business model, show people you know what you're doing by stabilizing one home, become an expert in that, and then collateralize that and go to two, or get OPM, raise other people's money and create a joint venture, mutually beneficial, whether you're giving up equity or a preferred return. There's a million ways to structure the deal. One home, one relationship at a time, one private money relationship, one good bank, put it all together, and boom, you will be successful. But take your time. This isn't like people think, I got to get 20 homes by this time. Be patient. Delayed gratification. I'll say it again. Delayed gratification. I didn't do this overnight. One amazing relationship at a time. I'd rather have you have 5 incredible relationships than know 100 people. I'd rather have you 3 good relationships than know 300 people, right? It's all about these great intimate relationships that are going to be mutually beneficial. Go to different banks, interview them, find that long-term partnership that will work for you, and just be top of mind. Slow it down. Have good branding. Do things the right way. Over-communicate, and just become a boss like Jesse, and you're going to do great.
And I think the other important thing to think about is, a lot of these coaches and gurus talk about building these big teams and having to have all these people and resources. That's why I really wanted to have Zach on here, is you did this on your own with a really small team, and just the most important thing is buying good deals. Like, if you want 20 properties, you better find 20 really good deals, or else
Right.
you always lose when you buy bad.
100%.
If you buy good, you're always good. You're typically always fine. So I think it's just really, really important for people to be patient and not try to say, hey, I need 10, 20, 30 rentals in the next 1, 2, 3 years. Like, no, it's just how many good deals can you find? Because if you could find good deals, you could find other people's money. You could find ways to.
I always
to do
say
it.
this, the money always follows the deal. So if there's a great deal, there will always be money behind it.
Right.
But I think it's always important to be proactive in capital raising and relationship raising for the acquisition, so you can marry the two. That's really what you're about. You're a matchmaker. We're the workhorses. There's always going to be an abundance of capital to fund those good deals. Any money will come if you get an amazing deal and a low loan to value. It's low risk for the investor. It makes economic sense. The other thing too, which is a great point, is people's perception is, oh, you need these huge teams or management companies and all this stuff. You don't need to do that. You need to become a boss at your business, really intimate, know all the finite details. So if and when you decide to expand your team, you are familiar with every aspect, because you can't be a leader and you can't delegate things that you've never done to someone and tell them how to do the job if you haven't been in the trenches. So get yourself dirty. Don't be afraid to understand. I was out there early in the days with the contractors. I don't understand construction to the highest level, of course, but I'm out there scraping the popcorn, looking at the guys, understanding the fundamentals of plumbing and bidding and all that stuff. So get yourself in the trenches. Don't be afraid to get dirty. Do the work. And again, if you have one success of one home, which you're going to have, don't all of a sudden start scaling and hire 10 VAs and get office space. There's no reason for it. I work out of my home even today. This is 44,000 square feet. I work out of my home and 200 square feet in my office. So again, don't get ahead of yourself and overcommit to all this overhead. You can do it yourself, bootstrap this thing until you are busting at the seams, and then delegate and bring people on. So one home, one relationship at a time. Don't grow too quickly and have all this overhead and sunk cost that's going to bankrupt you. Conserve your cash for great opportunities. Have a good attitude, have good energy, have fun with what you're doing, and I'll see you at the top of the mountain.